This your brother Amir, Junaid Muhadith, formerly known to some of y'all familiar with my previous career in the music business, where I went by the name of Moon, and I was a part of Bad Boy Records. And I had a long-lasting partnership with a man that you all know. Inshallah, may Allah guide him. P. Diddy, Sean Combs, goes by numerous names. I just want to remind y'all of something that you probably heard repetitively throughout your lives. And that's the importance of the akhirah. It's the importance of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prepared for the believers. In this dunya, which we all know is in complete opposition of what Allah has prepared for us. And because of some of the things, the numerous things that we face in the society that we live in, many of us, because we're weak, we're human beings, we're deficient, we're flawed. And sometimes these challenges become so overwhelming that we lose sight of the very goal that each and every one of us want to achieve. And that's the Jannah. So for those of you who know my story, I'll just give you the gist of why I've acquired so much gratitude for Allah's guidance and being guided to this blessed deen of Islam. And I'm going to extend this courtesy by asking the question: how many of y'all, by show of hands, were born Muslim? Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Alhamdulillah, I see him. Now, how many of you, such as myself, was guided to this blessed deen from darkness? Alhamdulillah. So that means what I'm about to say is for everybody in this room. Regardless of how we got here, we here. So, regardless of how we got here, we here. Whether you was born, cultivated and nurtured upon Islam, or you found this blessed deen, the only way you can find it by way of the guidance of Allah Azza wa Jalla. And the reality that we face is only getting darker and darker by the days. Many of you are aware of the affairs of the Muslims as a whole, and many of you are aware of the affair of the Muslims in your proximity or in the environments that you live in. And you see the similarities. There's really no difference. We can go into a whole geographical assessment, but you'll find the commonality that we share is that this generation, specifically the Shabab, specifically the youth, are going more and more astray by the day. And you have a lot of people out there who claim to be professionals who try to pinpoint the source of why these things are happening. And in their assessment, nowhere do they mention Islam. So, nowhere do they mention Islam. They give you all these clinical assessments. They tell you it's because of this. They tell you it's because of fatherless homes and so on and so forth. But these things contribute. These things do make some form of contribution to the fitna that is widespread amongst the youth. But the true reality, we all understand, without exposing a single sin, without exposing a single good deed, we understand that the reason is because of this dunya. The fascination with it, the inclination to it, the attraction. And everything, it only acts as an obstacle. It only acts as an impediment for what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prepared for us. Now, I myself, I grew up in a very harsh environment. I'm born and raised in New York City. When I was young, it was the start of the crack epidemic. I was raised in the crack era. This is an epidemic that I watched destroy my entire community. No one was left unaffected by this wave of drugs and violence that passed through my generation. And many of us, we had no idea what Jannah was. We only saw a few things to be an escape. We were either going to follow our parents' roadmap, which was go to school, try to acquire some type of career, get some type of financial stability, so on and so forth. Seek a career in sports and entertainment. But the final option was turn to the streets. And sadly, this was an option. And in most cases, it was circumstantial. Now, some brothers here that know me know I've been here before. I actually lived in Brixton. You know, I spent time here, like 2009. And it's funny because I was just telling the brother when I came in 2005, I wasn't a Muslim. And I actually had an experience in the same environment that I came later, 4 years later, and actually lived there. It was something that was plagued by gangs like SMS, so on and so forth. This is 2005. I wasn't even Muslim. I was loon. I was coming through here, you know, to do what loon do. But then to come back in 2009 and seeing the majority of the youngsters in that, you know, environment, I became Muslim. And I thought that was amazing. SubhanAllah, man. You know, this Islam is for real. But now fast forward, we're in 2023. Some of these environments that y'all are familiar with, you got Muslims killing each other. You got Muslims ascribing themselves to gangs. How could you have two allegiances? How could you have an allegiance to Allah and His Messenger and have an allegiance to a gang? There's no wala'an in that. Many of y'all, by show of hands, who can honestly sit here today in my face and tell me that you grew up in an environment that's plagued by drugs and violence? Plagued by it, epidemic. 1, 2, that's a very small percentage, right? So that means that anybody that falls into this lifestyle is by choice. You choose to be a tough guy. You choose to be a gangster. Well, you have to be live. How could you choose that over being a Muslim? Well, you got the small percentage that just raised their hands, meaning you don't have no reason to be involved in this lifestyle. It's not for you. It's something that you chose over Allah and His Messenger. And it has to be explained that way. Because every time I get the opportunity to sit in front of these newfound brothers and sisters that I had, that I traded in for a whole bunch of superficial fake people in sports and entertainment, I traded all of them in for you. Regardless as you see that as any worth, but for me as a reality, every time I get to sit before Muslims from all over the world and acknowledge you as my brother in Islam, it breaks my heart when I visit places that have no reason whatsoever to be immersed in the affairs of the dunya when you have this blessed religion of Islam. Another question, by show of hands, how many of you was raised with both your parents? Alhamdulillah. How many of y'all was raised with just one parent? How many of y'all, such as me, wasn't raised by my parents at all? Where I come from, it'd have been way more hands in it. My grandparents raised me. May Allah have mercy on them. My grandfather took Shahada. He passed at 96 years old. I came home from prison. My grandmother was fighting cancer. She accepted Islam prior to her meeting Allah. It was the most overwhelming joy I've ever felt in my life. I didn't even have a time to grieve. I didn't even feel the need to grieve because these people raised me and there was no way I was ever going to pay them back other than to invite them to Islam. And when they accepted Islam, Allah says, there's nothing else I could possibly want in this world other than what Allah prepared for the believers, and that's Jannah. What I need y'all to understand is that throughout my travels, since I returned from prison, I've learned this commonality that all of you young people share. Y'all all have the same influences. And the gateway is social media. Social media has evened out the playing field. What I see in New York, you see in real time. What you see in the UK, I see in real time. So all the influences that deter us from staying firm upon the path that Allah and His Messenger has prescribed for us, we are all affected by all of these different tools that are being used to distract us from our goal. Many of y'all see these rappers and you believe these people to be people of virtue. Many of you see these athletes and you revere them to some point where it might even turn into worship what he had to be done. But my question to all of y'all, who do you consider to be a person of virtue? Anyone. Who do you deem to be a person of virtue? Y'all all in college. I know what this word means. I'm an 8th grade dropout. I should be the only one struggling with the English language. Who do you see as a man who has virtue? Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
Most importantly, a person who you can trust.
Most importantly, a person that you can trust.
This is not, but not all Muslims have this quality. There's some people you can trust.
Yeah, but we know Muslims with certainty that do. We're not going to go into the gray area. Barakallahu feekum. Right? We're going to go where it's clear. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his companions, the tabi'een, the tabi'een. These are the most virtuous generations of men. So we do have examples. We do have examples. We have an abundance of examples. So this way we never have to fall into those gray spaces. We never have to look at athletes, entertainers, and get distorted from what true virtue is. Many of us that ascribe ourselves to the Sunnah, I found this to be a travesty. A travesty. Wallahi al-Azim. I've visited places with brothers who ascribe themselves to the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ and can't even name 10 Sahaba. Wallahi al-Azim. This is a travesty. When a Muslim can't name 10 companions, minus the 4 rightly guided Khulafa, I'm going to take them 4 away from you. Minus the Mubashir al-Ashir, you can't get the 10 that was promised paradise. Name me 10 companions. Wallahi, y'all done sat in places and got crickets. Same for the sisters as well. The mothers of the believers, right? Many of us as men and women in Islam, we want to be treated like them, but we don't want to be like them. Start from the law. We want their treatment, but we don't want to be like them. We want to be revered, respected, feared, all these type of things, but we don't want to be like them. So you know what happens? You choose other alternative routes. I'm going to choose gangsters. Somebody going to fear me as a gangster. I'm going to choose businessman. Someone's going to respect me if I'm just a shrewd businessman, whatever the case may be. All these alternatives would never match the virtue of the most virtuous generation of Muslims. And how they view this dunya, we can take from their examples today, and we won't have to fall into the traps that we fall into. We have a blueprint, Yaquan. We have a roadmap already set for us. And my understanding in the depiction of a man goes with the statement that Imam Bukhari, al-ilmu qabla qawli wal amal. Knowledge precedes speech and actions. No Muslim should say a word out of his mouth or perform an act without knowledge. No one should speak or act without knowledge. And the foundation of the religion of Islam is knowledge. And the more knowledge that you acquire in Islam, the more you realize you don't know nothing. So arrogance should never seep into your heart. The more you learn, the more you understand how ignorant you are. That's why the early men, they say, knowledge does two things. It either humbles you or makes you arrogant. It either humbles you or it makes you arrogant. The things that I learned and continue to learn in Islam only draws me closer to humility. And the more I stand before the youth, it inspires me because it gives me hope that some of y'all gonna make it. May Allah protect us and make us better, but some of y'all not. And it's all gonna be contingent upon how you implement knowledge, how you implement your understanding of what's permissible for you and what Allah has forbidden. That's what makes men. Men that understand clearly what's right and what's wrong, and they make sound decisions. And they stand on whatever comes with those decisions. And if those decisions are based upon good, then regardless of how much adversity and hardship you face, you should be able to endure it. Because it's only from good. There is no easy way out. There is no shortcuts. Men don't look for shortcuts. Boys do. Men know the road get rough. And they endure. Boys can't take it. They take shortcuts. And find themselves in the state where they wish they would have just been a man. Trust me, I know. We all have work to do, Yaquan. But we only going to be able to accomplish what we seek by staying firm upon that which is correct and staying away from that which brings us harm. Wallahi, I love the Muslims. I love the Muslims. Y'all were the perfect substitution for the people that used to be in my life. So as I mentioned, when I look at you, when I look at the state of this ummah, you can't help but be sad, but also be hopeful. Because Allah has always wanted to sustain this religion with some people who enjoy what's good and forbid what's evil. Allah is going to always sustain this religion by empowering those who enjoy what's good and forbid what's evil. So listen, anybody can explain to me, what is the harshest reality that you young men face? Death? That's inevitable. No way around that. Something that could be avoided. Tell me something that could be avoided.
That can be avoided.
Can be avoided. You're looking for the smoke, see? You stay in the gray, man. Right here deep, yeah. Now, any musiba that can be avoided. Arrogance. That's a tough one nowadays, right? SubhanAllah, may Allah make us better. Stand steadfast upon Islam. That could be avoided. Very difficult. Okay, I take that. We're talking about what could be avoided. Because I want to hear men being honest and being accountable for what they know is wrong and they can avoid it. Lying, subhanAllah. That's heavy for a Muslim. I don't think no Muslim should be a liar. Period. I ain't even say be something else. I won't even say that. But just don't ever be a liar. Seeking too much pleasure. Now, that's a tough one. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about seeking pleasure. Wrong relationships. Backbiting. Now, that's a tough one. That's a real tough one. I see some of your sisters cringing back there. That backbiting. Almost time. You know? We all get a share. I'm not going to put that on the sisters specifically, but I'm just saying that, when it comes to talking, I gotta be Zina.
Wasting time.
Wasting time. SubhanAllah, that's big. Nah, staying firm to being a man, following the sunnah, not being a blind follower of your desires and your whims. Music. Now, see? Now he cooking. Now we cooking. That's what I was waiting for. Now we cooking. Because the thing is, and I'm gonna stop right here and we're gonna start with this music. Because I know that right there finds itself in the hearts, not just the minds, but in the hearts of many of the Muslims. And this music, ya Ikhwan, ya Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given me the ability and the zeal to abstain from music for almost 15 years. Allah, if I'm not in the barber shop or somewhere where I can't avoid it, where I can't hit a stop button, that's it. But pressing play, sitting there enjoying, not for Brother Amir, not for none of the Muslims. But this music, yeah, Ikhwan, this is a disease in itself. And I always try to understand, if anybody, how many of y'all know my brother Muta, Napoleon? Used to be with the Outlaws. I want y'all to think about this. We're going to use some logic. If there was any good in music, me and Muta beat y'all to it, right? When we beat y'all to it, when we be first, we got all the opportunity, right? He can come out with a whole, you know what I'm saying? He probably come out with some old Tupac verses that never came out and do an album that probably be a smash, right? I'm still alive, Puff's still alive. I seen him when I came home. That would have been an easy fix. Yo, let's get in the studio. Easy. You know? Kanye had flew me to New York to visit my grandmother. First time I got to New York was by way of a jet with Kanye. 2 hours in the air. Conversation could have been about go to the studio when we land, right? There's a reason why this is avoidable. There's a reason why, as Muslims first and as men, it shouldn't take a painstaking effort to avoid. But why is it that we find ourselves in these trivial states when it comes to things that cater to our desires? Somebody mentioned desires. This is a trial for every man, Muslim or non-Muslim. Your desires is probably your worst enemy, right? That's your worst enemy. Because by show of hands, y'all already told me y'all ain't living in no real epidemic. So you're not forced to join no gang. You're not forced to pick up no drugs. You ain't forced to use no guns. You ain't forced to do none of this. So that means the only thing that could be breaking you down is your desires. Is that fact or fiction? Huh? It's a fact, right? So now we get down to the bottom of what the real problem is, right? The real problem is us. And you know what happens with people who don't want to take account for these things? They try to find somebody else to blame. They try to find somebody else to shoulder their burden. When in all actuality is you. And when you stand before your Lord, you're going to know it was just you. So why waste your time in this dunya trying to find excuses and find scapegoats and find other people to be the recipient of your choices and your actions? Why not just take account?
Quick question.
No.
It's honored to be in your presence. But you know, on the topic of music, sometimes, I don't know if people get the same feeling, sometimes music helps you break away from like reality when it comes to pain. How you listen to like Tupac, listen to his struggle, knowing that you're not alone. Stuff like that.
Okay, now we're going to go back to men of virtue. What did the Prophet say something go through? Tupac can't scratch the surface. Tupac could not even scratch the surface. We can skip past the Prophet say some generation, go to the Tabi'in. No, Abdullah ibn Aziz. Tupac can't scratch the surface. My favorite campaign is what keeps me in line. Musab ibn Umayyah. He was a flower of Mecca. This man used to get his sandals imported from Yemen. You imagine back then getting sandals from Yemen? But when he died, he didn't have nothing. He gave it all up for Islam. That's what keeps me home. When people keep asking me, yo, Brother Amir, you gave this up, Brother Amir, like, I ain't give up nothing compared to Musab ibn Umayyah. You understand? This is what I mean about utilizing what Allah gave us to govern ourselves. We have to look at how the companions handled their desires, how they dealt with music, how they dealt with all of the things that distracted us today. Find your Sahaba rookie card. When I was young, we used to collect baseball cards and stuff. In a rookie card, you get a great player rookie card, used to be worth more than all the other cards. Get you a Sahaba rookie card. Find you a Sahaba that you can attach yourself to and follow his way. And this is what the Prophet said, right? He said, Khayrun nas, qarnu, thumma ladina yalunahum, thumma ladina yalunahum. The best generation is my generation. And those that follow them, and those that follow them. Get your Sahaba rookie card. Now, once upon a time, just to add some validity to your statement, I used to believe that music was a distraction from my realities. The reality I was living in, I would be able to escape in the song, right? But then also, music was the soundtrack to my emotions. You mentioned Tupac. Most people listen to Tupac on their way to go find somebody and they got an AK in their car. They on their way to doing something real, real bad with Tupac playing. Most cases. Or like yourself, you're listening to him to try to like understand that, man, if he going through all that, it ain't gonna be that bad. Because I ain't going through quite a bit of nothing. But listening to that it makes me feel like, yeah, love songs. That's the gateway to Zinat. That's the soundtrack to Zinat. This is why this is from the shaitan. All of this stuff is just the soundtrack to whatever emotion or desire that you're feeling, you find something to nurture it, to cultivate it. And then what follows is an action that is in complete opposition to what Allah and His Messenger command. Fact or fiction? We men, right? For me, it's a fact or fiction.
Facts.
Yeah, that's what we're dealing with. We men. We on man time. This is what they used to say, you know, when I was growing up. We on man time. And those little boys allowed. We on man time. So we're going to be men. And we're going to account for what's real. And we're going to discard what's fake. You know, and I appreciate you bringing that up, because that's probably something somebody else was thinking that they had the courage to say. I would say, may Allah, you know, reward you for your attention. But the reality of it is, you know, music is haram. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it abundantly clear in the Quran. You know what I'm saying? You'll find nothing in the Sunnah that will contradict the Quran. So therefore, this is a affair that's clear. Now, I know many people, once again, by way of their desires, they try to seek fatwa, you know what I'm saying, to accommodate what they think. So they'll find Sheikh Fulan or Sheikh Google Ibn Twitter and ask him, and they'll get something back that says, you know, class, you know, you can listen to music on Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday. Something for the law. This was Sheikh Google Ibn Twitter as Instagram. This is what he gonna tell you. Right? But that's not hot. And only a man can accept that. Say, look, that door's closed. I gotta find something else to do with myself. That's what men do. You don't sit there and keep fixating on something that you know ain't right. It ain't right, I'm gonna close that door. I'm gonna find something else to do with myself. There's only people that get fixated and spend too much time investing in something that only contributes to stress, hardship, and difficulty, loss of hair, all kinds of stuff. Right? You be 23 looking like you're 50, chasing something that ain't for you. So now, I wanted to share something with you. Inshallah. It's the virtues of youthfulness. The virtues of youthfulness in Islam. An authentic narration, the Prophet ﷺ mentioned that the feet of the son of Adam would not move on the day of resurrection from his Lord until he is asked about 5 things. How many are familiar with this hadith? I'm showing hands. You will learn it today. Inshallah. The feet of the son of Adam will not move on the day of resurrection from his Lord until he is asked about 5 things. About his life and how he spent it. You're about to learn how to be men, y'all. Inshallah. Hopefully, you know, this is a reminder for myself. This is a reminder for all of y'all. Women as well. So this is general. This is not specific to just men. I know we mentioned the son of Adam, you know, in the Arabic language, it means the offsprings, male and female. So for some of y'all who get caught up, you know, some of the sisters sometimes get caught up in the linguistics and think everything is, you know, placated around men. It's not true. Bani Adam is me, you, everybody in this room. Muslim, non-Muslim, don't matter. We are the sons of Adam. So the feet of the son of Adam will not move on the day of resurrection from his Lord until he's asked about 5. He's asked about his life and how he spent it, about his youth and how he used it, about his money from where he earned it, you know, what he spent it on, and what he did and what he knew. The reason why I picked this particular narration, because I thought it was the most concise way to explain, you know, what every male and female Muslim should have circulating repetitively, not just in your head, but in your heart. Because this is preparation for the meeting with your Lord. This is preparation for the meeting of your Lord. Because some of us wait till we get sick. Some of y'all, how many of y'all caught COVID? I shot anybody said AIDS, I said COVID. COVID, right? How many of y'all increased in dua when you caught COVID? Yeah. Thought you was gonna be the law, right? The news had you scared. It wasn't even the COVID. The news had y'all thinking, right? So many people died. I got COVID. I'm gonna die. Y'all Allah. You know, I turned to repentance. Dua got long and lengthy. Sujood was like 5 minutes, right? Because you thought you was gonna meet your Lord. Don't wait for those moments. That's why I picked this particular hadith. Because this preparation is every day. Every day you have the ability to do what's pleasing to Allah, you should do it and not hesitate. Some people just want to run with the intention for thinking of something good because you heard the narration that you get rewarded for your intention. Got a lot of people who put too much hope in that. Well, I intended to do good. You know, I'll take, you know, I'll just take that. I'll take the edge from that. But true preparation is understanding that you're going to be asked about 5 things about your life and how you spent it. Let's start with that. Without exposing anything going on in your life, I just want you to reflect. For some of us, we neglect the salah, which is a complete detriment. Complete detriment to your akhirah. What the Prophet ﷺ said, "Man taraka salat, fahuwa kafir." Whoever leaves off the salat, he has disbelieved. Right? He has disbelieved until he returns to that which is correct. Some people like to utter this narration as if he's a kafir. No, he has disbelief. Whoever leaves off the salat, he has disbelief. You follow up the salat the next day, you believe, right? Because believing in Allah is worshiping Allah and Allah alone. So in that moment of neglect, you have disbelief, right? So imagine the one that's going to be questioned about his life and how he spent it. Let's take the salat for example. The minimal time that it takes to pray is about what? Minimal time. 5 minutes. Multiply that by 5. Y'all all in school. How much is that? 25 minutes. How many minutes or hours you got left? No, quite a lot. You got 23 hours and 35 minutes to just feel like. Do the math. I was good at counting money. I was good at counting. You know? Y'all might have bested me in a lot of things, and y'all might be besting me in something right now. But when it comes to counting, you know, before the police come around the corner, I used to be good. 23 hours and 35 minutes to just feel Allah. SubhanAllah. Look how generous your Lord is. Minimal 5. This is going to go in accordance to you being questioned about how you spent your life. So if you spent your life prolonging salat all the time, I'm talking about you pray Lord 5 minutes before Asr. Asr 2 minutes before Maghrib. Maghrib when Isha come in. Repetitively. Some people work and make the excuse, like you can't negotiate these things. You've been working on this job for 10 years. You can't ask your boss, man, can I take a little break? Right? Only got 2 holidays out the year. I should be employee of the year. I don't think there's no Muslim that shouldn't be employee of the year. You only got 2 holidays, right? So if you're working anywhere where there's non-Muslims, you should have them beat. They should come back off holiday and you the manager, right? You only got 2 holidays. So take all this in consideration when you think about your life and how you spend it, right? Next, about his youth and how he used it. Yeah, I know the brother that always, you know, when I get old, I'm gonna pray on my sons. Well, I'm, you know what I'm saying? I know that, you know, y'all know the elders that stay in the masjid, right? They sit in the masjid from Dhuhr to Asr. Some of y'all in the back of y'all mind be saying, yeah, when I get 60 or 70, I'm gonna be just like shit. Right? This is hypothetically speaking how you squander your youth. This is just an example of how you squander your youth because you have the opportunity, the physical ability, and the zeal in your heart to understand that this is pleasing to Allah, but you rather neglect it until you get older. But then you got to meet your Lord. You're going to be asked about your youth and how you spent it. You spent your whole youth chasing dunya. Now you're diagnosed with cancer. Can't stop you from praying. Can't stop you from making dua. And even if Allah forgive you, you're still going to be questioned about your youth and how you spent it. That doesn't go away. So everybody here go to this university, right? By show of hands. How many attend this university? Alhamdulillah. May Allah make it a benefit for you. How many of y'all break your neck to give your professor an A and give Allah a D? Reaction was enough for me. Alhamdulillah. May Allah make us better. I know some people in here losing sleep, trying to please their professor. Professor give you deadlines, all kinds of stuff, and Allah gave you a deadline before him. Right? Allah gave you a deadline before your professor. Some of y'all losing sleep. Y'all trying to turn in something with bags under your eyes, all that, lost sleep, all kinds of stuff for the professor. But you want to give Allah a lazy takbir at home. Some of y'all be off to the side with it, man. This is where you start learning how to balance the dunya and the deen. Being in these environments is where you need to balance the most. Wallah, this is when you need it the most. Don't get caught up in this whole university lifestyle culture thing. Y'all showing up at all the MSA parties and all types of stuff, and y'all forgetting about why you here. And in most cases, don't be oblivious to some of the trials you may face being in this environment. Because this environment is really not conducive to Islam. So whatever it is you hope to gain from here, get that and get on out. Right? Get that and get on out. And make sure that you don't forget to put Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first. Because the education has its benefits. Your brother Amir is never going to sit up here and tell you, man, drop out, go whatever. Middle of a mud hut somewhere in Yemen and sit down at the feet of the sheikh and you're going to benefit tremendously and never have to know. I would never tell you something like that. Because under some certain circumstances, it's required for us to have an education and be able to apply that. All I'm trying to tell you is don't let that take precedence over Islam. Are we clear? You understand? Because I don't want nobody walking away from here saying, yo, brother Amir said, man, bump everything, man. Go to uni twice. That ain't what Brother Amir is saying. Brother Amir is saying, if you have something beneficial that you can extract from this environment, get it and get going. But while you're getting it, make sure that you never let this take precedence over Allah's deen. Barakallahu feekum. Next, you're going to be asked about his money and where he earned it. And on what he spent it on, and what he did and what he knew. Right? So let's talk about this money. Because a lot of us got anxiety when it comes down to this money. Right? A lot of us see our parents. This is more important. Because a lot of y'all, raise your hands when I ask how many of y'all have both y'all parents. For those of you who have both your parents or even one of your parents, Allah put dutifulness to the parents right after his right to be worshipped. Right after his right to be worshipped alone comes dutifulness to the parents. Unfortunately, this generation suffers from entitlement. This generation suffers from acute stage 4 entitlement. And many of the youth are extremely ungrateful when it comes to their parents. How many of y'all were born in Muslim countries? How many of y'all first generation? It's really on y'all shoulders, right? Parents came here with intention. They came here, they can tell you all kinds of stories about how, they ate off of one nickel for a week, right? Stories that make you love your parents even more. Every time you hear the stories. But sometimes, once again, after hearing all those stories, y'all walk outside and let the dunya distract you. Make you feel like you need more than what your dad said. Some of y'all who know what I'm talking about, y'all parents came with pure intention to try to give you something better than they had. But y'all the generation that's exposed to things that your parents don't understand, right? And instead of bringing them up to speed, what y'all do? Y'all take advantage of that, right? Your dad still got a flip phone. He don't know nothing about no iPhone. He don't know nothing about none of the stuff you were exposed to. Y'all leave y'all parents in the blind too. Take advantage of it, leaving them ignorant. When that's not being dutiful. Because they came here and instilled some things in you that were valuable. But the things you acquire and learn, you look at them like they dinosaurs. They don't get it, whatever. And what you do? You go seek advice from your peers. They just as stupid as you. That's a reality. And I mean it respectfully. That's why they call it the blind leading the blind. I only asked you because you do all your homework. I think you smarter, right? If you do all your homework, I don't. But we the same age, growing up at the same time, acquiring the same understanding. So really asking you is like asking myself, right? So now down to this money. How many of y'all pursuing your education to get money? Be honest. We said we on man time. That means women too. We on man time, women time. Okay? That's what I'm saying. Be honest. We trying to get some bread. Right? Trying to get some bread. All right? You're going to be asked about that bread. What you going to do with it? How many of y'all got posters of Bugattis and stuff in your house? Totally about to make the wrong decision when you get that money, right? You got all kinds of reasons why you're going to do the wrong thing when you get that money, right? Yeah. Some of y'all sisters got pictures of red bottoms and all that. And yeah, I'm going to have some Louboutins just to buy it. Yeah. What you going to do with the money? Talk to me. Anybody. You said you're going to school for the money. You about to give me something great. Who said that? That's right. Alhamdulillah. What about your parents? Okay, mashallah.
Basically to get married, my
Yeah, that's their right? Alhamdulillah.
Do the things I couldn't do when I was younger.
That's the man I was looking for. See, that's honesty right there. That's honesty, yo. You know what I mean? I'm not discrediting what you're saying. I'm not saying it's cliche, but I'm really, I really stress, yo, we on man time right now. We got to be real. Because we ain't going to be able to solve some of the problems, and there ain't going to be no real benefit to walk away from if we not being honest, right? So it's something he couldn't get when he was young. He going to get that. You know? He going to need a friend to tell him when to stop, though, right? He definitely going to need a friend. A brother, he going to need a Sadiq. Not just any friend. Yeah. See, he look like he's a good friend, too. You want to tell him when to pump the brakes, right? I said, no, you only got 2 feet. You only need 15. Yeah. pair of sneakers today. Yeah. Anybody else?
Well, I think this is a bit of a balance. Obviously, I need to help myself. I'm a do get that $18 On the other hand,
So how many of us you want to invite? Because for 18 million, you have a lot of room. How many of us get to go? I want to go.
This is the first guy.
Okay. Alhamdulillah, man. I want my own room. And when I ain't there, I don't want nobody in it.
Yeah, but on the other hand, they have to be Muslim. On the other hand, I do want to invest back into the community. I think at some point, you have to spend on yourself first to realize that you don't want to spend on yourself, and then you realize that actually there is more benefit to me building schools or helping other people, because there are ways for you to benefit from it. Even after that, I call it passive.
He came up with a word for it. You see that? Well, Allah says in the Quran, save yourself and save your family, right? In that particular order, right? So this is the most permissible form of selfishness, not to be taken out of context. Save yourself, save your family, right? Family got rights over you. But you know what's the sad thing about people taking this form of selfishness out of content? Is that they get so consumed with just taking care of their own, they forget about the environment outside that, that utopia, that place of refuge that you're trying to create for your family, right? Y'all seen this. You don't got to be in the ghetto to understand this part, right? You strictly on infrastructure. I'm just doing me and mine, me and mine. But outside my door is chaos, right? So now this place of refuge that you created, it becomes what? A prison. You see how that works? It's a prison now. Because this bubble that you created, you don't even want your kids to step outside of it. Right? You're walking them to the steps, you walk them to the bus, you hit the bus when they get off the bus. Like, you understand? That's people who know that they've created a certain place of refuge for themselves and their own, but they really don't feel safe outside of that. So now your comfort zone becomes your cell, becomes your prison. Right? This is why the statement of Hassan al-Basri, Rahimullah, one of the greatest tabi'in, he said that your neighbors, right, are 40 houses in front of you, 40 houses behind you, 40 houses to your right, and 40 houses to your left. So look how much territory you got to cover outside of you doing what you need to do for yourself and your family first, right? Could you imagine extending that refuge for 40 houses in front of you, 40 houses behind you, 40 houses on both sides? How much safer it would be for your children to go outside and enjoy themselves? How strong the community bond and network would be if you invested in that? Because these are things that are pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you question about this money, after he get what he never got before, hopefully his next play is to invest in his community. And if you spending 18 million on a house, I can imagine your community 80. See, that's the British accent. You got me. I thought you said 18. I was gonna give you that, but you said 80. SubhanAllah, I'm gonna move to your neighborhood. It better reflect your house. I mean, every house around an $80 million house should be equivalent. It should be what? I mean, what's the market value? What you think? If his house is 80 million and you live in that neighborhood, how much your house got to be worth? About 16, right? 10, 20. And it should trickle down, right? So after 40 houses, what those houses going to look like? It better not be dilapidated and broke down and all that. It better not be public housing, Section 8, like we call it in the state. Nah, Allah Mubarak. May Allah grant you success with that. I hope you do invest in it. community. 80 million. Now you're going to be questioned about your knowledge, what you knew and what you did, right? We're going to conclude with this. Many of us, we don't act upon what we know. That's a fact, right? That's why this statement by Amir al-Bukhari, he said, knowledge precedes speech and actions. Many of us know better and we don't do better, right? And then when we get caught with our hand in the cookie jar, we want to blame somebody else, right? It's your fault, bro. I had no business out on these roads. It's your fault, bro. You introduced me to such and such. No. I introduced you to him. I ain't tell you to hustle with him. I ain't tell you no business with him. I ain't tell you nothing. Don't blame me, right? Knowledge. What do we know about Islam? We're going to run through something real quick. I do this with second graders and third graders, and they shock me every time. And I started to learn by talking to schools where the decline starts. It starts like middle school. Once you start like going to 5 different classes, you know what I'm saying? Y'all know elementary school, you got one teacher teaching you 5 subjects. As soon as you could walk out that class and have to go to a science class and walk out that class and go to another social studies class, that's when you start gaining your little independence, right? And that's when you start declining in that structured environment that you had where it was all being nurtured and cultivated by one source. So we're going to do the Sahaba test. Yeah. I know y'all can name all y'all professors. With your eyes closed. But we're going to get into some companions. Minus the 4 rightly guided Khulafa. Minus the Mubashirah. Y'all don't get them. I'll give it to y'all later after y'all give me 10. I wasn't going to make it hard and say give me 10 tabi'in, at least 5 tabi'in. But I know I'd be asking for too much. For us quote unquote Sunni Muslims. Alhamdulillah. It ain't like rooting for a team. You don't get to say Sunni like a Manchester fan or Chelsea fan or Liverpool fan. They get to roar their team name but don't know nobody on the team. They just wear the scarf, right? Fight all over a bar. Cops come, long scarf on your neck. Y'all done did so much craziness over a soccer team. 10 companions. Give me one. Yeah, you. No, you don't get to have Abu Bakr. Abu Bakr is mine today.
Can I give you a 10?
No, I don't want you to. Come on, man. Nah, no negotiations, man. Listen, man, you stay in the grade, man. I'm telling you, man. No, I don't want you to come. I want you to give me one. That's all. No, we're gonna work together. I'm gonna tell you why we're gonna work together. Because it's gonna be in phases. Because after we get that 10, you're gonna tell me something about it. So save your genius. Yeah, save your genius for later. Okay, no problem. Abu Hurairah. Radiallahu anhu. Muawiyah. MashaAllah, that's 2. Wow. Abu Dhar. That's what I'm talking about. Salman Farsi, yeah. MashaAllah. We're going to get back to this. I'm glad y'all giving it up. Khalid ibn Walid. Yeah, I knew you was silent over there. I knew you were going to give me a warrior. MashaAllah.
Abu Ayyub Ansari. Abu Ayyub Ansari.
Wow, Abu Ayyub.
Abdullah ibn Mas'ud.
Abdullah ibn Mas'ud.
Hudayfa al-Yaman.
Hudayfa. MashaAllah. Y'all know some heroes. See, this is what I'm talking about, man. If y'all ever utter a word to me about any rapper. Messi, Rondo, I don't hear nothing about none of these people when y'all saying these kind of names. Y'all understand? Hold on. We're going to give the sisters a shout. I need one of the Sahabiyat. Y'all gotta know them. Y'all dress like them. Y'all carry yourselves like them. You gotta know who they are. Asma. What was she known for? Her charity, right? She was known for her charity. Any one of the other sisters. I ain't gonna hold y'all up. I don't want to embarrass nobody, make nobody feel uncomfortable. One more. Give me a mother believer. Sumaya, mashallah. Which one of you sisters can tell me who was the first martyr?
The first martyr is female.
I just want to see if they're gonna repeat it. You gotta know, you know what I'm saying? You can't just say a name and don't know. I know when I was growing up in the street, you get hurt. I know homeboys, don't even know. All right. Tell me something about Abdullah bin Mas'ud.
It's like the highest source in the Quran. Quranic interpretation.
He's a scholar in Quran.
His shins have the weight of Uhud.
MashaAllah. SubhanAllah.
He learned 70 surahs by Prophet himself from uncle.
What I told y'all earlier about hope. Now you understand how I get to that? Sad but hopeful. MashaAllah. Who else we mentioned? Salman al-Farisi. Who said that? Tell me about him. Did you learn that at home? MashaAllah. Yeah. I know some of y'all get this in your homes and don't have no excuse to have no issues in this room. Somebody else mentioned, what's that, 4 so far? Somebody mentioned Bilal. Tell me about the Sunnah of Bilal. What is the recognized Sunnah of Bilal?
Every time he would lose wudu, he would renew it and pray to rak'ah.
MashaAllah. I tell you, it's hope, man. This is hope, man. This is hope. MashaAllah. That's why I said, I hope whatever you can get out of this, you get out of here and get back to all the stuff we talked about right now. Very, very important. And my man, genius, staying in great. Tell me about Muawiyah.
Muawiyah was basically the son of Abu Sufyan. He used to sometimes write Wahika of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. He participated, he became Khalifa after Ali radiallahu anhu, and he participated. He did not participate, but he had sent his army to fight with Ali radiallahu anhu's army to battle Sufyan. So he let his son Yazid become Khalifa after him. That's what led to the problem of Karbala.
Hey, look, exactly, yeah. I knew he was gonna give me a full meal. That's what I was saying. Like, you out? Oh, okay. Nah, everything you said was amazing. Amazing. That's why I saved you for last. Inshallah. So I want to close with this. This is my first talk out of many that I'll be having while I'm here in the UK. And each one is unique based upon what I get from y'all. I don't come with nothing scripted because I love the Muslims. And no one should have to sit in front of your brothers and sisters in Islam and forge anything. Because when you look at the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, when he mentioned that none of you will be complete, you know what I'm saying, any man, until you want for your brother what you want for yourself. So everything I've endured in my life, I truly want Jannah. And every day I pray that Allah makes me better than I see myself and make me better than the way that people see me. Because that's what I would want for you. I want you to be better than you see yourself and better than what the people see. Because that's what maintains humility. Knowing that there's still room for you to be better. Because if you think you at your best, you know what starts to seep in? Who can answer? Kibble. Arrogance. You already hit your ceiling. You know what I'm saying? You at your peak. Ain't even been on the earth long enough. What I want from y'all and I want from this generation of Muslims is to be exactly what you're supposed to be. You're the best of the people for the people. You understand that responsibility? As Muslims, we are the best of the people for the people. Our example is the best example for the people. But if we running around on foolishness, then you leave no one else any excuse to be better. Understand? But if we enjoy what's good, forbid what's evil, establish the rights that Allah has given to creation, protect the honor, the wealth and blood of your brother and sister in Islam, all of these good qualities, we will be the best of the people for the people. We don't need to please media, social media. We don't need to combat all of the misconceptions and propagation against Islam, because this is a trap from the shaitan. You start worrying about what people say about you when Allah tells you in this book who you are. Allah tells you in this book who you are. You don't need validation from nobody. How dare you sit there with anxiety because you didn't get any likes on your last post? Are you kidding me? You're a Muslim. What validation do you need? Allah has already validated you. He's already ascribed goodness for you. He created a place that no eyes have seen. The fruits of Jannah. He prepared it for you. If a person got 35 million followers and no Islam, he's doomed. So I say this as a reminder to myself and a reminder to y'all. If anything that I've said to you is of any benefit is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. And if there's anything that I said that is incorrect, alaykum salam, will cause any detriment or harm, it is only from myself, my deficiencies as a human being, my lack of knowledge, and the whispers of the shaitan. Barakallahu fikum wa jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa
barakatuh. Before we exit, brothers on this side, inshallah, sisters on that side. Also, quick reminder again that on Saturday we have a competition.